Okay, let's go to your early school experiences now. You told us about how traumatic it was for you when you first entered school, missing your mother. What was the name of that school?
It was PS 20.
What subjects did the children study in school when you first started school? Like in first grade?
It was everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a certain segment here or there. I imagine it's still the same, isn't it?
Right, well, as it goes on.
Yeah.
Were you especially good at any particular subject during the elementary years?
No, there wasn't anything in particular. However, I did skip one term because they used to have double classes like 5A and 5B, and let's say 5A, that might have been what it was, 5A. It was just one row of children in 5A, the rest were 5B. And I guess the school thought it would be more advantageous to make them all be 5B. Mm-hmm. So in that way, I became 5B even though it should have been 5A, and that way I was pushed ahead. But
does any single grade stand out especially in your mind during elementary school?
No.
How about any particular teacher?
No, I was afraid of them all.
What were you like as a child? How would you describe yourself then?
Well, I had a fairly happy childhood. The only thing, as I have said before, not that I resented, but I disliked not coming home to a mother at home, in the house, who gave me all the attention that I wanted when I came home from school. She was busy in the store, and that bothered me. I still remember it.
Did you have any chores around the house that you had to do?
I had chores, but they weren't I wasn't told I must make the beds, I must do this, I must do that. I happen to be very compulsive where neatness and so on is concerned. And I did all those things without being told if I saw they had to be done.
Okay. What were people's attitudes towards doctors when you were young? Did they go to them for little things, or did they take care of a lot of ailments at home?
I was not ill very frequently, so I don't really remember. But they used doctors, and doctors made house calls, of course, which doctor would come, call the doctor, and the doctor would come.
That was a big thing.
Yeah.
The house call.
What were some of the home remedies that your mother or your grandmother used when you got sick?
Oh, I remember for a cold, because that was the main thing. That was the illness everybody got. Mustard plasters?
They used to call it mustard fluster.
No, not my mother.
My mother called it a mustard fluster. It was mustard. They put
mustard plaster.
Yeah.
You must know.
And they put what she would call a mustard.
Oh, it was
a mustard fluster.
We call it mustard plaster, but it was a terrible.
Also, they would take a settlet's powder.
Oh, that was for a headache. And my father, when we had a sauce.
Wait, we can describe it before I lose it. It was a powder which must have been
wrapped like a piece of chewing gum.
Aspirin. And it was in a
like chewing gum.
Yeah, like chewing gum. You open it up.
And my mother.
And you put it into a glass.
My mother used to suffer from headaches a lot, so she used to take one of these, open it up, visualize a piece of gum, how it's wrapped, and she would pour it on her tongue, and then drink water. It was like, I suppose, like aspirin, but ground up, a powder.
The word really is sightless powder, SCIDLITZ, but they call it settles powder.
Well, it was close.
All right, let's go on. Let's talk about some of the holidays you celebrated as a child. What was Thanksgiving like when you were growing up? Can you describe an old-fashioned Thanksgiving dinner?
Well, it wasn't old-fashioned to us. But Thanksgiving was Really turkey, for some reason or other, my mother used to make goose. Must have been cheaper. And it was very good, though. And it was usually the family was invited, some members of the family, my mother's sisters, brothers.
We used to come there
You
too.
used to come. And,
Did the people who came bring something along with them?
yeah, well, sometimes. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. But it was very nice. The women worked like dogs. And but there was a nice holiday, and the children, I remember getting dressed on Thanksgiving in a costume and going door to door like we do now for Halloween.
Mhm.
But it wasn't grotesque looking. I remember having a costume that my mother made for me of a pilgrim. It was gray, with a belt and a white collar, big white collar, just like the looks in the
Yeah.
books. And go around door to door, and people would give a little candy or stuff like that. But there was no masks or anything.
Mhm.
You just went door to door.
That was the custom at that time.
Yeah,
There-
and
everybody-
Halloween was nothing.
Okay. How about New Year's Eve in your family?
Well, New Year's Eve, my father used to take us to 42nd Street, Times Square. And we'd ride along very slowly. Naturally, you had to go slowly. There were a lot of people and cars. Now I see that Times Square has no traffic. But in those days, we rode, there weren't that many people. And
Was
weren't
there a
that
ball
many
that dropped?
I think so. But it wasn't on television. Of course, we didn't have television.
Sure. How about the 4th of July? Did you celebrate that?
Yes, and there were the fireworks that,
Why
Were
don't you
there
tell
any-
her about the Stromberg Carlson radio?
I can't describe that.
Oh.
Can't describe it.
What's this?
And it was a radio.
Her father bought
You haven't got the song.
It's on.
her father bought a Stromberg Carlson radio, and it had a speaker that kind of like a horn. Think of a horn that.
No. It wasn't like this.
No, I
It
know.
was round and it was on a stand
Yeah, I know. You didn't put
and
it
it was
together.
like parchment.
But anyway, it had had storage batteries which activated it. And I remember to tune in a station, you had 5 dials. You had to
and
tune.
they had
It had to be
They
perfect.
had it neat.
And after you got them perfect, all you heard was static.
No, not true, because I remember Rudy
Oh, yeah.
Valley on Thursday night at 8 o'clock for an hour. My time is your time.
Okay. Can you just reminisce a bit and tell me what an average Sunday was like at your house?
We'd go out with our friends. Oh, well, you're talking about as a child. Very often we would go to Brooklyn from Jersey City, which was a long ride. But we'd go to visit our grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go with a ferry.
Do you want to explain that? How you went with the ferry?
Yeah, well, the ferry, we took the ferry from Jersey City, downtown Jersey City, across to Manhattan.
It was called the Desbrosses Street Ferry.
Yeah, then Desbrosses Street is still in existence, by the way.
Mhm.
And then we get off the ferry and get onto one of the bridges that took us to Brooklyn. And it was a long ride, and boring. But this was it when we were lit, Otherwise, after that, of course, we did it. We went our own ways.
You
Mom,
also-
I
you used to
know-
come to Medford, didn't you?
Yeah, well, what about it?
What about? What do you mean? That's
Well, were there any other outings or
Oh, yeah, well,
vacations?
we had relatives. My father had some cousins that he discovered who lived in Medford, Long Island. And we used to go there maybe once or twice during the summer. That was a very long expedition. But we'd do it, and we'd always stay over, I think.
what
somehow.
you'd go with
We
Jericho Turnpike.
Oh, God. And when we would get there, the first hour or two, the men would discuss the trip and where there was a lot of traffic and the road was broken.
In general, when your family got together with the other cousins and so forth, what did the men do after dinner?
Sleep. Right? Harry, I remember he used to fall, because he had a couple of drinks and he couldn't drink. So he would fall into a stupor. My father, we have pictures of my father sleeping.
In general, did any of the members of your family drink other than
No,
Harry?
no, he didn't even drink that much. They said that he couldn't even hold whatever liquor he drank, and that's why he would fall into
The
a
only one who would drink, and it wouldn't show on him, was Uncle Eno. Uncle Eno would take a tumbler of whiskey, down it, then take another tumbler.
Only when he went to somebody else's
Yeah,
house.
he never used his own liquor because he didn't have any.
Maybe he had, but he didn't serve it.